Sister Joan was a woman of vision, and she referred to herself that way. She always said, I have the vision. And we made a good team because she shared her vision. Yeah. And then it was my job to get it written down. To put it in some sort of form to share with everyone else. But thanks to Sister Philippa, I was able to learn a little bit more about her life, and was surprised to see that she was actually born in England. Yeah. And she went to school in elementary school and started in a 2-room schoolhouse, like a country schoolhouse, and then did high school boarding with the Mercy Sisters, not the Presentations. Mm-hmm. And she joined the congregation after high school. And these are her words about what attracted her to the Presentation Sisters. Sense of humor, joyful spirit, love and support of poor people. And when she joined, no one was talking about Nano Nagel, but they were living Nano's vision. Her professional life, she taught school in Ireland for 12 years. And then in 1976, accepted an invitation to teach in California for a year. I remember she told me that. She was coming for a year. And then she ended up staying and taught in Upland, Sacramento, Oakland for 13 years. She earned a master's in marriage and family counseling and was a counselor in San Bruno for 5 years and the principal in Sacramento for 4 years. She also lived in Phoenix when she was unit leader, and then in Watts. Of course, you know, she was part of the congregational leadership team in Ireland for 6 years. Then she had a sabbatical and then worked as a counselor in a boys' high school, which she commented was very interesting and very rewarding. She then joined the unit leadership team for another 5-6 years. And I'm not sure she ever really retired because she always had new ideas and new projects in mind, things she wanted to work on. She was really keen at getting students, high school students, elementary school students to learn about Nano, and very thrilled that Loretta in Upland started that group. You've probably seen this quote from her, which Emily posted, I think on Facebook and also Instagram, if you happen to do the social media stuff. So the best part of being Presentation for her was that the congregation was international, intercultural, and intergenerational. And these 3 elements she insisted be incorporated in our Friends of Nano materials. The other thing that she was so big on was our being in communion, being one with the earth, with all of life, and with each other. When I looked for her bio initially on the unit website, this was what there was. And but it points out how committed she was to the Friends of Nano.
She looks much older there. Yeah, she looks more.
Yes, I think that's a really late picture of her.
God. Yes, that was a Christmas.
Yeah. So these were her initiatives. And she started, when she started working with me, she was still in the unit leadership team. And she wanted us to draw up US unit guidelines based on the guidelines that the International Presentation Lay Movement for Mission had published, I think in 2011 or 2012. So that was our first project. And I worked on that with Sister Wyona. And actually we had the draft ready before she left leadership, but for some reason, her email address changed and she never got our draft. But when she became the link sister again, you know, all of that was repaired and the guidelines were finalized. And then her next big thrust was to have a formation program. And we know that our group in Fargo has a very robust formation program with lots of materials. And they've been doing this for 40 years. But the feeling I got from her was that she wanted groups that were not so organized and highly structured to come up with, you know, their own formation program. But she wanted us to provide an outline so that any formation program would have the same core elements. So I was the one who worked it out on paper, but she was the one with vision. So we would talk sometimes an hour at a time on the phone. And then, you know, I'd know what her ideas were and I would write it up and send it to her for feedback. So the outline we came up with was centered around the core values. It included a focus on Nano's charism and the importance of contemplation. There was a great emphasis on the spirituality of being in communion. And she also wanted to make sure that we included other religious traditions and wisdom drawn from other spiritual groups, as well as acknowledgement of our intercultural, international, intergenerational nature. And now I'm going to show you a series of pictures of her in different places. Here she was at the IPA Assembly in Australia in 2017. The yellow arrow is to help you see where she is in the picture.
Okay. That's a great.
And here she was in Ireland. And I think that was with the leadership team. Here she was in New Zealand on the right.
She's very young there, and that's Noreen McGrath.
Yes, I think it was Noreen. And here she was collaborating with the conference, the North American Conference. So the congregations in Aberdeen, Windsor, San Francisco, you know, the ones that are sponsoring the gathering of presentation people in September. And this was the transition of leadership, the unit leadership. I think 2019, she told me, was the actual
That's right.
handover.
It's just in front.
And this was another one of her quotes that Emily, thank you, Emily, for all of this information that Emily posted on social media. Maybe it was during Vocation Week, that sisters are women of prayer. Together through contemplation, scripture, stillness, and community with nature, we become present to our shared roots with the one community of life. Our hearts ever open, hands reaching out, becoming God's love wherever we are. Here she was in San Antonio at the old convent, the community center, in the chapel, and at the presentation ministry center. She was part of the board when she was living here. This is a very recent photo of her in orange for an
Yeah.
event.
The yard sale.
Yes, yes.
It's
I mean, she was still going.
Angela. It's up to a few
Yes,
weeks ago.
and there's Angela. In Cyprus with her community.
Kathleen.
And Sister Gemma's there.
I know.
And Kathleen.
Emma. Oh,
Oh, Rosalie,
And in Upland,
no, remember
are
me.
you here?
Yeah, should be somewhere. I think I am. Yeah. Yes,
Mary.
our farewell.
Christmas 2021.
Orange looks good there.
Mm.
Yeah. Everyone, look at it. Everyone wearing red.
That's the Indian sister
That's
And
maybe
it's-
Sister Catherine.
figurator.
Yes.
Do you know where that picture was taken?
That was taken in
Orange.
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 That was in orange?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Orange and red.
Faculty
couldn't-
of St. Norbert's School.
Yes. in
Okay,
Norbert's
that's
School.
at St. Norbert's. All
It's a
right,
faculty
I
of
wasn't
Norbert's
sure.
Yeah.
It's a year ago,
Mm.
over a year ago.
And I don't know if this was the last project she was talking about,
That's the one
but
in-
the Wisdom Initiative is on the Presentation Sisters Facebook page. And it was something she had spoken to me about, the Wisdom Initiative. And I don't know who's actively working on that. But I want to point out that that statue there of a mature nano was one she got commissioned in San Antonio. And it was first placed at the convent, you know, the year before we knew it was going to be sold. And now it has been moved to St. Gregory School. It's not in a very open space, and I didn't have a good picture of it at the school. But we have seen a number in California, you have numerous statues of the young nano, but she really wanted one of the mature nano, and that's what she commissioned.
Mm.
It was done by Lee Hall.
Thank you, Sister Vera.